You wake up already tired. Your phone is buzzing before your feet even hit the floor. Emails, messages, notifications. You rush through the morning, skip breakfast, grab something on the way, and tell yourself you'll deal with money stuff later. The day fills up. Meetings, tasks, errands, side hustles. By the time night hits, you're exhausted. So you order food, scroll a little, promise you'll get organized tomorrow, and fall asleep feeling like you worked non-stop but somehow moved nowhere. And the weird part, you're busy, like genuinely busy, yet your bank account doesn't reflect that at all. If that made you think, okay, that's literally me, then stay with me. My name is Denver, and I spend way too much time thinking about why being busy is secretly making people poorer. And if you're someone who feels like you're always working, always hustling, always doing something, but your finances still feel stuck, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Because here's the thing. Being busy feels productive. It feels responsible. It feels ambitious. It feels like you're doing what you're supposed to do. But in reality, busyness is one of the most expensive habits you can have. And almost nobody talks about it. Now look, we live in a culture that worships being busy. If you're overwhelmed, people respect you. If your calendar is full, you must be important. If you're exhausted, you must be working hard. But money doesn't reward effort. Money rewards leverage, clarity, and decisions. And busyness quietly kills all three. Here's what most people don't realize. Being busy doesn't just cost you time, it costs you money, directly and indirectly. Let me explain. When you're busy, you default to convenience, and convenience is expensive. Busy people pay for faster food. Busy people pay for faster shipping. Busy people pay for subscriptions they forgot they signed up for. Busy people overpay because they don't have time to compare, negotiate, or think. A study by Harvard Business School found that time-starved individuals are significantly more likely to choose higher-cost options simply to save a few minutes. Not hours, minutes. And when that happens repeatedly, day after day, it quietly drains your income. Let's put numbers to this. Say you're busy, so you spend an extra $8 a day on convenience food instead of cheaper meals. That's about $240 a month, nearly $3,000 a year. Invested at 8% over 30 years, that's over $350,000. That's not a latte problem, that's a busyness problem. This is where it gets interesting. Busyness doesn't just increase spending, it destroys optimization. When you're busy, you don't ask, is this the best option? Is there a cheaper alternative? Is this even worth it? You ask, how fast can I get this done? Speed replaces strategy. Now you might be thinking, okay, but I'm busy because I'm trying to make more money. That sounds logical. It feels logical. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Busyness and income are not the same thing. In fact, after a certain point, busyness actively lowers your effective hourly rate. Think about it. If you work 50 to 60 hours a week, but you're too exhausted to manage expenses, plan, invest, or negotiate, your net progress shrinks. You might be earning more on paper, but leaking more in reality. This is backed by data. Research from the American Psychological Association shows that chronic busyness and stress reduce cognitive performance, decision-making quality, and impulse control. Translation: the busier you are, the worse your financial decisions become. That's not a character flaw, that's biology. Here's what most people don't realize. Your brain has two modes, execution mode and reflection mode. Busyness locks you permanently in execution mode. You're reacting, you're responding, you're putting out fires. But wealth is built in reflection mode. Reflection is where you review spending, spot leaks, see patterns, make strategic decisions. If you never slow down enough to reflect, your finances run on autopilot. And autopilot is usually programmed by advertisers, algorithms, and habits, not you. Let me give you a metaphor. Being busy is like running on a treadmill that slowly increases the price of electricity. You're sweating more, working harder, feeling exhausted, and wondering why you're not getting ahead. The speed isn't the problem, the direction is. Now look, busy people are also more likely to confuse motion with progress. You answer emails, you attend meetings, you check tasks off lists. It feels productive. But none of that guarantees financial improvement. A McKinsey report found that knowledge workers spend up to 60% of their time on work about work, emails, coordination, meetings, rather than high-impact activities. That's time spent busy, not valuable. And this bleeds into personal finance too. People spend hours worrying about money without actually doing the few actions that would change everything. This is where psychology comes in. Busyness creates a false sense of accomplishment. Your brain releases dopamine when you complete tasks, even if those tasks don't move you forward. So you feel productive without being productive. And because you feel productive, you don't question the system. Here's another cost of busyness nobody talks about. Busy people delay high-leverage decisions. Things like switching banks, refinancing debt, negotiating bills, setting up automation, learning basic investing. These are one-time or occasional decisions that create long-term financial benefits. But they require mental space. And when you're busy, your brain says, not now. So you keep paying higher interest, higher fees, higher rates. Not because you chose them, but because you never chose anything else. Now you might be thinking, I'll deal with that when things slow down. Here's the problem. Things don't slow down by accident. Busyness expands to fill your life. And while you wait, the costs compound. Let's talk about opportunity cost. Every hour you spend busy on low-impact tasks is an hour you're not spending on high-impact ones. But the real danger, you stop seeing opportunities altogether. Studies in behavioral economics show that cognitive overload narrows perception. When your brain is overwhelmed, you literally see fewer options. So busy people don't just miss opportunities, they don't even notice them. That side investment idea, that negotiation opportunity, that skill upgrade, invisible. This is why some people with fewer hours and less stress end up wealthier than people who are constantly grinding. They have space to think. This is where it gets really uncomfortable. Busyness is often a socially accepted form of avoidance. Avoidance of boredom, uncertainty, big decisions, long-term planning. It's easier to stay busy than ask, is this actually working? So we stay occupied, we stay distracted, and we stay financially stagnant. Here's a shocking stat. A study by the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that the average American spends less than 30 minutes a week actively managing their finances. Less than 30 minutes, but spends hours stressing about money. That's not a time problem, that's a busyness trap. Now let's connect this to math. If you never pause to optimize, your finances stay linear. You earn, you spend, you repeat. But wealth is exponential. Investments compound, systems compound, decisions compound. Busyness keeps you stuck in linear effort. More hours for slightly more pay, more stress for marginal gains. And that's why so many busy people feel stuck despite working harder every year. So what actually works? Here's the shift. Stop trying to do more. Start protecting mental space, because clarity is leverage. Instead of asking, how can I fit this in? Ask, does this deserve my time at all? Busy people add tasks, wealthy people remove them. This is where it gets interesting. When you create space, three things happen automatically. First, spending drops, not because of discipline, but because impulse thrives in chaos, not calm. Second, decision quality improves. You make fewer mistakes, fewer emotional purchases, fewer rushed choices. Third, leverage becomes visible. You finally see the 20% of actions that drive 80% of results. Here's a practical example. Someone busy might work overtime to earn an extra $300 a month. Someone with space might refinance a loan, cancel unused subscriptions, negotiate bills, and set up automation, saving $300 a month forever. Same result, radically different effort. One is busyness, the other is strategy. Now you might be thinking, okay, but I can't just stop being busy. You don't need to. You need to be intentional. Start with this. Schedule thinking time. Literally block 30 to 60 minutes a week to do nothing but review money, systems, and priorities. No phone, no multitasking, just reflection. It sounds unproductive. It's insanely profitable. Next, eliminate convenience leaks. Busy people leak money through frictionless spending. So add friction back in. Unsubscribe, remove saved cards, delay purchases by 24 hours. Not forever, just long enough for your brain to catch up. Studies show that delaying purchases reduces impulse spending by over 40%. That's not motivation, that's psychology. Next, automate what matters. Automation isn't laziness, it's protection. When savings and investments happen automatically, busyness can't sabotage them. Money you never touch is money that actually grows. Now let's audit your busyness. Ask yourself, what am I doing that looks productive but isn't profitable? What tasks create stress without meaningful return? What would happen if I stopped? You'll be shocked how many things don't matter. Here's what most people don't realize. Financial success isn't about doing more things right, it's about doing fewer things wrong. And busyness multiplies mistakes. Let me be clear, hard work matters, effort matters, ambition matters.
But constant busyness without direction is just expensive exhaustion. If you feel busy but broke, it's not because you're lazy. It's because your energy is being consumed by noise instead of leverage. Once you reclaim space, everything changes. You think better, you decide better, you spend better, you earn better. Not because you hustled harder, but because you finally slowed down enough to aim. You don't need more hours, you need more clarity. And clarity is the most underrated wealth tool there is. That's how busyness stops making you poorer and starts working for you instead of against you.